Hello everyone, welcome to Green Tea with Ashish. Today we have with us Viram Shah, who is the co-founder and CEO of Vested Finance. Vested is a US-based company which is helping Indian investors to invest in global stocks. Welcome Viram to the show, and thank you so much for taking your time out. I have used Vested and it's a great product. I understand the mission of your company as such that you're enabling sustainable wealth creation by empowering Indian investors to invest into global stocks. And how cool is that? Like I can sit in India and invest in US-based stocks. I think that works perfectly. Let's start. Can you talk a little bit about your product? That how your team and you guys, decided to start this, and how does the product work?
Firstly, thanks for having me on the show, Ashish. And I'm glad that you're using Vested. That's really good to hear. It is very much meant for somebody like you. So the journey started essentially when I was working in investment banking. So I was working with JP Morgan and used to cover a bunch of these global companies as part of the banking work. And that's when I started understanding these companies. And so naturally, I wanted to invest in them. And because I understood them well, I wanted to get some exposure. But when I tried doing that while sitting in India, I realized that the process was way too cumbersome and the process was super costly as well. So that was when the seed for Vested was planted. Fast forward to when I went to do my MBA at Berkeley, I met up with a couple of my classmates who are originally from Indonesia and Hong Kong. And we got to talking about how all our portfolios back at home are very locally concentrated, wherein we don't have any kind of geographical diversification. And along with that, how a lot of us understand a lot of these global brands that are present in our countries, but have never gotten a chance to create wealth by investing in them. So that is a common pain point that we connected on, and that's how the journey for Weston started in Berkeley last year. So the first few months we spent doing customer research, understanding what is the actual pain point and how can we go about best solving it. Then we got our SEC license as an investment advisor, and then also partnered with a broker there in the US who powers essentially our back-end trade execution and brokerage account opening by APIs. And so once all of that was in place, we got around to developing the product and launched it in the public this year in July. And since then, the response has been super encouraging. And what we've been able to do is largely simplify the investing process. So earlier, what you would have to do if you wanted to invest into the US stock market was that you'd have to go through a paper process, the fund transfer process, wherein when you require dollars to invest in the US market, that fund transfer process was very cumbersome. Like you'd have to go into your bank, then the bank nobody knows what to do. Along with that, you have no idea how to do taxes, or the brokers required $5,000 minimum deposits. So what we've largely done is lowered all of these barriers that people used to face earlier via technology. So we've created a seamless onboarding process, which takes literally about 4 or 5 minutes. And sitting at home, you can open a brokerage account now in the US. After that, once you've logged onto the platform, we help you with the fund transfer. So we partnered with banks in India. We partnered with the likes of HDFC, ICICI, Axis to simplify the process in which you transfer dollars. So that's something that has eased the process. And then after that, on the platform itself, we realized that this is more for a longer term investing than for trading, because the RBI does not allow trading essentially in the international market. So we've created a user experience that is suited for a longer term investor, and we made it easier to invest by allowing fractional investing. So you can buy up to the eighth decimal of a share. So for example, if Amazon is $2,000, you don't need to shell out 1.5 lakh rupees in one go. You can start with literally $1 and build your portfolio as you go. And lastly, we've also enabled commission-free investing. So one of the key pain points earlier was that it used to be very expensive, especially commission-wise also, to do these trades. You'd lose 500 to 1,000 rupees just buying and selling. What we've done is we've allowed commission-free investing into stocks and ETFs, which makes it much more easier for our users to start the investing process.
So thank you so much for the information, Viram, and let's go into the product demo where we will be able to understand how the product works from end to end.
So in order to start using the Vested platform, you could either use our web app like we've shown here, or you could also download the mobile app. So once you start by creating an account, what you would see is the dashboard where you can explore what kind of stocks are available on the platform. And you can also see the themes, which are essentially underlying ETFs that we've rebranded as themes. Now, the first step for you to get started would be to go through the KYC process, which allows us to open a brokerage account under your name in the US. So this is a process that takes about 5 minutes or so, requires a few questions that are mandated by the SEC, and requires a PAN and Aadhaar card as your government ID and address proof. And once you're done with giving the information, you would put in your e-signature and submit it. And then we get back to you within up to 3 business days. And usually it's done sooner. So once your account is created, the first step for you would be to transfer funds to get US dollars to be able to transact on the US markets. This you could do through your Indian bank. So for example, with ICICI, it's an online process. With HDFC, there is a pickup service available where you don't need to go anywhere from your house. We will come and collect the forms. And similarly, we partnered with individual banks to make this process more seamless for you. Once the money is in, you can start buying any of your favorite companies. Say, for example, if you want to buy Amazon shares, you just put in a $5 trade request. And because of the fractional capabilities, this will buy 0.0027 shares of Amazon. And when the market's shut, it'll go into a pending queue. What you could also do is invest in any of our pre-built portfolios that help you simplify your investment decision. So there are either theme-based or strategy-based portfolios. Like for example, this is Ray Dalio's all-weather investing portfolio, which invests across 4 different asset classes: stocks, bonds, commodities, and gold. And in a simple process, you can go in, put the amount you want. So there's a minimum $50 requirement, but we automatically calculate how many shares you will buy with the amount that you put in. And then in your portfolio, you can see the shares that you own, which are bought via the portfolio so that you don't break the portfolio. Now, there's also theme-based portfolio. For example, Digital Cash has companies across the payments value chain that you can buy into in a simple click. So the next thing is that you can also monitor your activity. So you can go to the activity section and see the trade confirmations, and you can also view your tax reports under there. The last thing is, so the withdrawal process is also very seamless, where we've tied up with a player that allows us to directly deposit INR into your account, and you don't need to go through any additional hassles.
Oh, that's great. I think while you were talking about this, I went back a little bit. During my MBA days, we all used to think about all these things that I want to invest in Apple, I want to invest in Google, and something like that. So I think you are completing the dream of many Indian investors, and kudos to that, because we all have been waiting for such a product. And can you talk a little bit more about your target audience, or the kind of people people are using your product, and also can you throw some light around the regulation, because I think some of the investors would be keen to know this, that all the regulations which are being asked for the apps like this, you have completed all those.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of the target audience, what we started off with was folks who are involved in the tech industry. So that is one industry where we found that the pain was the largest, right? Because a lot of people know all these companies and interact with them on a daily basis, but there's no exposure in the Indian stock market that one can get to technology. So that was the market that we sort of started off with, and people at Amazon, people at Google, the large tech companies, and also at startups were and still are our early adopters. Now gradually we've been expanding the market and going to people who are already investing in the Indian market. So somebody who's already well versed with investing is someone who we would want to onboard onto our platform, because there's still that education barrier wherein even though you are investing in the US in the Indian market, you still need to know how to do it internationally. So that is slowly where we are expanding, and along with that, what we're also doing, our target market has also widened to kind of business partners. So say somebody who's an investment advisor, somebody who is already a broker, if they want to offer international investing, we want to be that one-stop solution where everybody can offer international investing through to their users. So that's a little bit about the target audience. In terms of the regulations, how it works is actually this has been allowed by the RBI since a long time, but the awareness about it has not been there in the market. So the RBI allows you to invest up to $2.5 lakh under the liberalized remittance scheme. So this scheme is basically governing everything all the money that goes out of the country via an individual. So under that, investments is one such purpose code that the RBI has allowed. And along with that, we've taken our investment advisory license with the SEC as well to be able to offer the platform.
I think that's great. I think you've answered almost all of my doubts, and I think anybody who is watching this particular video would definitely should come and try your app, because at the end of the day, you are regulated, you have solved all the issues around it, and there cannot be an easy answer to invest in the global market other than vested currently in the market. So thank you so much to share this information. Also, and I think last question, what is your vision around your company and product as such? Where do you see vested in 5 years from now?
Yeah, so the vision for us is to become that go-to destination in India, particularly is to become that go-to destination for international investing. So our specialty or our USP is that we are based in the US, and we have that international know-how and understanding of the international market. So that's how we want to be. We don't want to get into the Indian-based products. Our USP is kind of international investing and enable that for either retail investors or for our partners. And then beyond that, what we also want to do is go into different markets where we are a global founding team. We come from Indonesia, in India, and so we all have our local networks in those countries. So those markets are also places where people have shown interest to diversify their portfolio. So we'll definitely be looking at entering those markets sooner rather than later.
Like, apart from India, where else I can use vested?
Currently, it is only in India. So we've launched only in the India market, and that's the focus for us in the near term as well.
Yeah, it's a huge market. Rather than outside, it's a big country as such. So thank you so much, Viram. I think a lot of our doubts have been cleared, and we would definitely have you back once we have more questions from our users, and if they want to understand more around the platform. Do you have anything else to share with our viewers? You can go ahead, or else we can wrap up.
No, that's pretty much it. I'm glad to be here. So do let me know if I can answer any questions for your users. I'd be more than happy to. And our website is vested.co.in, and we're available on Twitter at Vested Finance. So if anything, just shout out to us.